Not long ago, I finally fulfilled the wishes of my community by watching the updated ending for Deathloop, known as the Goldenloop ending, live. And while I got to share my first reactions to the ending with all of you, I was also left with many questions about the ending itself, but beyond that, what the ending might imply about the current state of the Dishonored universe and where the story could potentially go from here. On that note, I managed to narrow down my multitude of questions to 5 in particular that we absolutely need answers to. Hey guys, if you end up enjoying this deep dive into Deathloop's ending, please be sure to leave a like on the video and leave a comment down below with your own thoughts and speculation. Also, consider subscribing to the channel and hit that notification bell so you always know when my newest upload is available. But with that out of the way, let's jump right into this. My first question is, where is Juliana and where did she go? One of the first things we bear witness to in the Goldenloop ending is Colt waking up on the shores of Black Reef for the final time and being greeted by the barrel of Juliana's gun. She doesn't have the strength to ultimately pull the trigger, and so she disappears in a flash of purple light, much like when the Aether ability is used by the player. Interestingly, Juliana's powers don't disappear once the loop is broken, indicating that there is another force at play that allows her to retain her powers, which I think we all know by now is the Void from the Dishonored series, the plane of existence from which everything magical or supernatural originates in this world. Now that the time loop is broken, where did Juliana go, and what will she do now that she's seeing the world that she feared and wanted so desperately to stay away from? Naturally, as both a very capable woman and the daughter of Colt, she'll be able to survive in this hellish-looking landscape. But where does her story go from here exactly? Only time will tell, but I have a feeling we'll see her story continue in some very unexpected ways. Question number 2. What will Colt do next, and what is his new objective? We know based on the Goldenloop ending that Colt does manage to escape Black Reef with 2-Bit and several Eternalists in tow, including Pick Rexley, but they're wandering into what appears to be a completely dried out ocean bed in order to maybe find some semblance of civilization. Colt has only ever known the intricacies of the time loop and Black Reef Island for decades, possibly even hundreds of years. How exactly will he reconcile his newfound mortality with this hostile alien world outside of the island? A world that he surely doesn't even recognize. Is he going to try to find the remains of the motherland, aka Tivia, and gather military-grade firepower to combat whatever threats might be lurking out there? Will he try to find scraps of his past life, or maybe even continue to search for Lila Blake, his lost love and mother of their child? Maybe even more interestingly, will he venture further beyond Tivia to the other neighboring isles like Morley, Gristle, Circonos, or even the Pandician continent? Wherever Arcane Leon decides to take Colt's story next, I have a pretty strong feeling that we'll see him return sooner rather than later. Question number 3. What happened exactly between the events of Dishonored, Death of the Outsider, and Deathloop? If we recall the events of the Dishonored novel The Veiled Terror, ashamed to say I still have not read this, it follows Billy Lurk shortly after the conclusion of Death of the Outsider, where she now has to pick up the pieces of a shattered world that no longer has a deity to contain the malignant energies of the Void. We learn that Empress Emily Caldwin completely dissolved the Abbey of the Everyman, effectively destroying the Overseers as a key influential group within the Dishonored universe. Void magic was running rampant, and rifts in reality known as hollows were slowly tearing apart and consuming the Empire entirely. By the end of the book, it is noted that Billy Lurk can basically travel physically through time in order to change certain events. Is it at all possible that Billy, even after potentially hundreds of years, by the time we reach the conclusion of Deathloop, is still alive and operating as some kind of omnipotent being? Not all of the Void hollows were closed either. either by the time the Veiled Terror reaches its end. Did they just become completely unstoppable at some point? Or, as we were potentially led to believe during the course of Deathloop's narrative, was the time loop responsible for ultimately dooming the entire world? If Dishonored 3 ever decides to reveal itself as one of Arcane Lyon's future projects, we'll know for sure at some point. Question number 4. How will Black Reef's inhabitants react and/or feel about the outside world? Many of the Eternalists that joined the Eon program were actually prison convicts who managed to secure their release thanks to the efforts of Colt Vaughn and Frank Spicer. The Visionaries, prior to their excursion to Black Reef, were either very well regarded by society or looked down upon. Could the Visionaries form some sort of temporary world government in an effort to maintain their control and influence? Would infighting occur among the lower ranks of the Eternalists as they battle for whatever scraps they can find in this wasteland? How would the rest of whatever is left of civilization react to the presence of these strangers wearing colorful 1960s style clothing? This one is harder to nail down simply because there's no knowing until we actually get a Dishonored 3 or Deathloop 2 and see how this ending feeds into the next game. Question number 5. What was the signal we heard before the cut to black? During the final seconds of the Goldenloop ending, as Colt and his companions venture out into the unknown, we hear what seems to be some kind of garbled signal. The sound itself, though, is incredibly haunting, and this is the question that has me easily the most intrigued. I don't recall who exactly it was, forgive me, but during my live stream where I reacted to the Goldenloop ending for the first time, someone had pointed out to me at that moment that the signal we hear is actually the exact same one we can hear at Igor's research compound in the complex. Specifically, when you sabotage Igor's experiment in the morning, you can hear what might be the distant cry of a whale or multiple whales. This could mean any number of things and further hints at Deathloop's larger connection to the Dishonored universe. By this point in the timeline chronologically, the whales should be all but extinct as they were hunted for their precious resources, namely their meat and oil. In fact, Alexis Dorsey's statue at his mansion in Updom is made entirely of whalebone, and through notes you can read, it is also revealed that whalebone is now an exceedingly rare commodity in this world. Does the signal suggest, though, that there may still be some whales that remain alive? Are the whales simply communicating from the void? As it has been shown in the Dishonored games that the whales have a strong telepathic and even physical link to that alternate dimension. Why is it crying that we hear? Is it a hint at the chaotic state of the void itself and the ocean outside of Black Reef? This is definitely something that piqued my interest and one of my more significant personal questions moving into a potential Dishonored or Deathloop follow-up. But these are just 5 questions that the Goldenloop ending raised for me. Now, more importantly, I want to know what all of you think about the Goldenloop ending and its implications for a potential Deathloop or Dishonored sequel. Leave some comments down below and let's start speculating. If you enjoyed this video and would like to see more videos like this, please leave a like and share the video with other members of the Arcane Outsiders community or anyone who might have any sort of interest in the content that I create here. Join our official channel Discord server where you can theorize with other members of our awesome community, and also think about becoming a channel member so you can gain access to some really cool perks like emotes for our regular live streams and for the comments section in future videos. Consider subscribing for more Deathloop and Dishonored coverage in the future, and be sure to hit that notification bell so you always know when my newest upload is available. And remember that the outsider walks among us.
Toxic.
Thanks for watching, everybody, and I'll see you next time.